or at least the point of no return. We have our team. And then we're going to check out... the raid testing started last night for the new World of Warcraft bosses. So I want to check out what they're looking like. See if we've got some spicy bosses coming out. I'm sure you guys might have seen... or maybe not. Weakauras, who you might recall I had an interview with the Weakauras guys last week, which is very, very cool. And one of the big topics we obviously talked about during that interview, which will be coming out soonish, was what could Blizzard do to make the game probably a bit more like FF? You know, going around the houses, like making add-ons less relevant. And I learned a lot during that conversation that I didn't know existed within World of Warcraft. And one of the things we talked about was hidden auras, which exist in World of Warcraft. I didn't know this is how they did stuff. Is they just have these hidden buffs that you can't see. They know they're there, but you can't see them and all that. And now they've expanded that heavily for this raid to make sure that a lot of the stuff in the raid cannot be tracked by add-ons, which is very cool. And I had a quick talk with Roger Brown last night, and he's like, he's more than ready for it. His Final Fantasy training coming in clutch, and he's ready to go back to vanilla UI. So this is what Weakauras said. I'd show you this, but it's got some DMs in the background, and I don't want to reshuffle the window. The current PTR has a brand new API called C Unit Aura's Private Aura Anchor. And that would let you create your own frame for just these special ones, so you could create add-ons and auras to have them displayed in the center of your screen, etc. They can use it forever they want, but it cannot be tracked by add-ons. The situation with this new API means that it's impossible to allow add-ons to interact with these auras in some ways without compromising the actual video game security to allow for customization. They will introduce this new system in 10.1 so they can hide specific auras from add-ons. This could be used to restrict add-ons from automating fight mechanics that encounter designers think would be problematic. So it looks exactly as Blizzard told me over dinner when I was with them in California, is they have always looked at this as a them problem to fix. And it looks like 10.1 is when they're going to be actually trying to implement a fix. So this is really exciting for me. And for the Race to World First as well, as, you know, this is going to separate the skill level of the teams in some way. Like, ones that rely on add-ons to switch brain off, and the ones who are able to adapt on the fly to ever-changing situations without an add-on telling you what you're supposed to do. So someone replied saying, I imagine a simple thing would be the debuffs in Razageth Phase 1. If they flagged that as private, the add-on couldn't simply tell you that you need to go left, middle, or right. So, simple stuff. If we think about Pantocrator at the start of Omega, you just have the numbers, right? The guys have to figure out who's going north, who's going east, who's going south, who's going west, and they need to do that very quickly and on the fly, which led to, obviously, a lot of wipes in Phase 1 of Omega. But in World of Warcraft, it's not a problem. The add-on just tells you where to go. Without you having to think about it. Like, in World of Warcraft, that's not a complicated mechanic at all, because the add-on would just say you need to go here, and you can just DPS and forget about it entirely. It's a non-issue mechanic. But we should see, or hopefully we will see, World of Warcraft return to a style of play where the guys do have to figure that out on the fly, and they can't just make an add-on to cheese these mechanics. They're going to have to do it properly. So this is really exciting for me. Really exciting for me to see how this goes down. This is pretty good. So, yeah, I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited to see how they're going to pull this off. And they've had it exist in the past. We've had a couple of fights that have had that happen, like Brambles in Cenarius, and the Tether on Sinestra. They were able to do that, so add-ons could not work for it. A good change, yeah, a good change. Because honestly, I'm with the guys. Like, the Weakauras have become kind of I hate saying Weakauras, especially after talking to them, because it's not fair. Weakauras is just a GUI. It's what's created out of it that's the problem. Like, some of the stuff that just nullifies boss mechanics. So, will they get fired? No, there'll still be stuff that you want add-ons for, like reminders. A big one that the Race to World First uses Weakauras for that doesn't get talked about a lot is reminders to do certain things. Like, if you have to do, say, Powered Barrier, or you have to use your darkness, you know, some sort of raid cooldown, your rallying cry, whatever it might be, at a very specific time, the guys will often request a Weakaura that just says, hey, at 5 minutes and 6, I need to use my rallying cry. Something like that. So that's one of the things that will still exist, I imagine. I don't see why that would go away, but in terms of actually the boss stuff, pretty interesting. Summon Pet Idiot. Yeah, I mean, I made that Weakaura because I forget. Stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the bosses later. They also lift those restrictions after some time, make the fights easier with add-ons. I think the problem is, like, this is, again, I can't go into too much detail because there was a private conversation we had with Blizzard, which was very nice of them to do with me. But all I can say is that they see it as a them problem. And clearly, I mean, I can say this, like, pretty openly because it's not a weird thing. Making bosses, as Yoshi P said recently, with add-ons in mind is a waste of time. Because you end up in an arms race against the players, which I think is what World of Warcraft has suffered from for probably the last 6 years, maybe 7, is that they were like, oh, the guys are figuring out this thing using an add-on, so we have to make the raid fights more complicated, and then the players fight back by making even more complicated add-ons to defeat that, and then the designers end up making stuff even more complicated, and then the players fight back, and you end up in this arms race that actually really hurts the rest of the player base. It, like, completely ruins the experience for the rest of the player base, because the fights are just getting so intricate and messy for just convoluted reasons rather than fun reasons that you end up just having to rely on the add-ons, right? That's the natural outcome of this, is you end up relying on the add-ons to tell you what to do, because the actual mechanic is so complex that you simply can't defeat it. And I would probably look to, like, Queen Ashara for being a prime example of that, where Weakauras just played a massive part in it. And so you can't win. And I think that's ultimately always the situation. The same as all the restrictions they tried to put on the World First Raiders. Gating bosses, limited attempts, those kind of things that they've done over the years. It just ends up with, we effing? Not according to this. We should be fine. F? All good? Yeah, I'm fine. We good? I haven't... Nothing's happened my side. It might be a Twitch thing. Okay, it might be a regional thing for Twitch. I don't know. Yeah, we're perfect over here. Is you can't beat the nerds. And that's a big important lesson, is you can't beat the nerds. They'll find a way around it. They always will. They always will. You can make loot untradeable. They'll find a way around it. Right? They'll do that all the time. They'll constantly do that. So, yeah, hopefully this... I think a shake of hands here is a good idea, and, like, okay, we'll just hide them so you can't do it. So it should be fine. This is very exciting, though. This is good. I want to see how it actually plays out. And I have to wonder again, having what I just said, will the players find another way around it? Will the players find another way around it? Because they're mentioning, like, automating things. You can make clickable things in-game. Yeah, like, what lengths will the players go to find a way around things? Or will they embrace the change? Because ultimately, if it's a competitive standpoint, I'm not talking about the casual player base here, any advantage you can get is an advantage. Is there a chance to beat the nerds and ruin the game again? No, they don't. Like, that genuinely. They're like, we can't beat them. So why are we trying? We're just spoiling our own encounters by trying to up the ante every single time. And it also creates the massive gap that we see now between Heroic and Mythic. And we have done for the last 7, 8 years. Where you like, oh, I can clear Heroic, no problem. And then you step into Mythic and you just like, what the fuck is going on? What in the fuck is going on, dude? Like, this is just insane. This is absolutely insane. Like, this is nothing like what I prepared for. I've killed this boss 20 times on Heroic. You step into the Mythic version and you're like, okay. I might as well just fucking relearn everything I've ever learned about this game. That's not fair. Excessive add-on reliance is part of WoW's culture and identity. It's risky to change it. They're changing something very specific. They're changing just seemingly... Who knows? This might be the first implementation of this, and we don't actually see it play out in 10.1. That's also a thing. They're introducing the technology in 10.1, but we might not see it put to use until later on. They might just be introducing it now and maybe even gauging reaction to see what people say. It won't be until we see the next Brambles, till we see the next Sinestra Tether, they'll be like, oh, that's what they've hidden.